Together we stand, and divided we fall. So obviously the controlled food shortage is on its way. Another step, that obviously we've known was coming for months. So all of these conspiracy theorists, seems like they're being proven right, isn't it? They've been trying to shut farmers down for months now to create a food shortage. Obviously the economy's collapsed. It's all moving towards one direction, which is complete control. A system whereby there's still the idea and concept of money, which is what we need to completely move away from, but it won't be money. Instead, it'll be all electronic, so therefore there's no end to how big the numbers can then become, because there'll be no need of money, and therefore they won't need to guarantee it anymore. It'll just be whatever figure pops up on whatever computer, so, and that'll be one form of control, along with the chip and pin and registration codes and compliance. And then they get the little nanobots in your system that control your nervous system and your emotions. Fun times ahead. I hope you're ready. I know I'm not. How can you be ready for something as insidious as what's coming? Or I'm completely insane, which would be my preferred choice, because then it means I can relax into my insanity and not have to worry about what I believe is happening in the world. So if I'm wrong, and if it's all inside my head, just some crazy dream, then I'd be happy with that, because then I could let go of my sorrow that I carry for the plight of everybody that I see, for the possibility of it. But as we say, the future doesn't exist yet, only now, here and now. What we lay today is, how we shape the future, or the possibilities of the future. Don't shape it, we shape the possibilities of it. That's it. Because we don't know, there's no guarantees, nobody can see into the future. But, judging on behaviours and continuations of things, we can have a reasonable stab in the dark, perhaps. So, and I know what I want the future to be. I want it to be happy. I want it to be, where everybody has a decent quality of life on the planet, without exception. And we all must want this, this must be the drive of us all. Must be that nobody suffers unnecessarily, and there's so much suffering going on. And it's unnecessary, it's made by a system we've allowed to create our reality. And the truth of what our reality is, and always will be, is our collective reality. So we can all have our individual realities, and we can all have how we individually want the world to be and people to be and stuff like that, but where our collective mind goes is where the true power is, because that's what controls reality itself. And if we can join our minds together and have at least a few shared basic wants of reality, but not shared for self, shared for the betterment of everybody. So encompassing a minimum standard of survival that is acceptable, which would be above basic survival necessities, because we have the capacity and resources, if used correctly and aimed correctly, to be able to provide that and more than just a comfortable standard of living for free and sustainably for everybody on the planet. You know, this is fact, and the fact that we don't do it shows the grip and where the grip is on the planet, you know, and who by people generated for just selfish means and goals that doesn't marry in with the progression of us as a species, not in a harmonious way where we can benefit and hope to understand and learn more than we're limiting ourselves to doing, you know. And it's madness, you know, to not realize and to not see and to not understand and to not want better, you know, not for yourself but for your children, and not better in the eyes of what you can already see is broken around you, and then wanting to obviously train your children to progress into that and perpetuate it, you know, but better for what is the best for them, what's their optimum health, and how do we optimize their thinking skills and self-management and, you know, self-regulation, and how do we get them to understand healthy boundaries and healthy love when it's not prevalent in the society around us. Not really, you know, not on the whole. So, you know, we have to decide what do we want for our future, for the planet, you know, not me, not for my future, not for your future, but for the planet's future. Because, you know, we've got nowhere to run to. We can't disappear anywhere to another planet. You know, all of that looking beyond the scope of our comprehension, when we don't even comprehend what's beneath our feet or ourselves completely. You know, we have people who are searching a lifetime to understand the meaning of their existence, because, you know, we're so lost as a species, and it's because we're so tied into this physical feeling, you know, sensory, organic existence, and every foundation that we have is built within that existence, which is, I understand why they call it a matrix, because, you know, it kind of is. What we see is just refractions of light, so, and everything's hollow. You know, it's just a shell. It's a shape of how our mind tells us it should fit, and touch and feeling, well, they're just energy touching energy, and it's how everything's within us. It's our thoughts and our feelings and senses that, you know, keep us bound, I suppose. But if we connect with each other's energy, you know, we see more and we feel more, we understand more, and, you know, understand the basic simplicities that, you know, less is more. And once we can focus on the basics and get them right, because obviously we haven't got them right, you know, where people are malnourished and starving and homeless and so poor, you know, they're having a miserable existence, and while there are still people on the earth who don't give a shit about that, or are just happy just to push it away and allow it to still be like it's an acceptable problem that, you know, oh, well, it's always been, that's the way it'll always be. There'll always be the poor, there'll always be the starving, and the people who don't have the correct sanitation and all of that kind of stuff. Well, why will there always be? Because we say that it will always be, or because we accept that it will always be that way? It's not really, it's backward thinking, isn't it? You know, we accept it because it is, or is this where we're coming from with this? I don't know, you know. I know it's not that way for me. I'm just trying to maybe look at other perspectives, to see what does it take for you to see and to realize that these charities who you expect to do good on your behalf, but they're just branches and subsidiaries of the companies that are creating the destruction at the end of the day. It's all, I've explained it earlier on in one of my other talks about how very few people control everything, and that's through commerce and banks, obviously, and this is the chains, basically, is for the financial aspect, but obviously everything else ties you into the wants and needs and desires that are put out there, and this false ideology of life that they paint from television and media and movies, and how they subliminally get into your emotions and thoughts, and every thought that you have is based on a platform that's been put there by people who want to control and manipulate you. So how do you then know if your thoughts are your thoughts, and how to separate your thoughts from what somebody else might have put there for you into your own version of reality that you can trust? And the way that I like to navigate it, and I'm not perfect, I get sucked into my reality of life, because obviously I'm experiencing the physical life also, and it's easy to get sucked in to become, because that's what we're here for, to experience feelings and emotions, but not to the destructive and want and disregard that we do now, at such a severe cost at everything around us. It's not meant to be like that, but without being in touch with our feelings and emotions and experiencing them, it's pointless. That's why when I see people who can always, they say they can always sit behind their feelings and emotions, and it makes me wonder, because yes, we can stop them being in complete control of us, but we have to feel them and experience them, because they're part of our human experience. But we have to see above them and not be controlled by them. And for me, the way I separate my thoughts is any thought that comes back to my gratification or self promotion, or if it's just something about the betterment of only my life, my circumstances, I want, then I tend to put that as something that maybe isn't a pure true thought of mine. And that if it's something that I want that is aimed at improving the globe and everything to do with it, and thought processes that would lead to a more just and fair society, where I think everybody could be on a more level keel and happier, on a more genuine and maybe sustainable basis, rather than the short-fired quick fixes that we tend to be sort of addicted to, I think. But it's not an easy place for everyone to get to. You put 100 people in a room, how do you get them to agree, with free will? So for me, that's why I have to just, I'm not putting pictures and graphs and things together. I just want to talk simple, non-confusing thoughts and ideas to open maybe thought processes. I think that everybody overcomplicates everything, and in a way, when you look at it and you delve into the minutiae of everything, then it becomes extremely complicated. I've wasted over a year when I came to, when I had my sort of reawakening, really, and when I when start to make more sense. But then it's difficult because it's like an idea, isn't it? It's just like a feeling with a picture that you don't always understand completely. It's just a doorway, or it's not a doorway literally, but you know, it's a beginning, and you then have to sort of work out how you move forwards with that and translate it. And I sort of got stuck in the vortex of thinking that I had to research everything and get my facts on paper and stuff like that. And then I realised I don't need to do that, because it was just sucked me in and wasted time trying to work out how to then format it to get it across to people. And everybody's different, so how can you do that? So I figured that the best way is just to explain it in a way that you can use your own eyes, and you see what's around you every day on a daily basis. And you see that the way that humanity's gone, by the respect that they have for the planet when they leave litter everywhere just on a daily basis in the streets. You know, that's just one sign, you know, of the disregard and the desensitization to our surroundings that we have. And you know, it's just, if you look beyond, sometimes, you know, I learned something good through meditation, was not to always look at the object that you seek, but to see what's in between it and the space in between. And that's very true and very good when it comes to working on your heart, and you send your heart out. Just once you feel your heart and you get to accept and open your heart to yourself, because obviously it has to be yourself first, because nobody will ever love you like you can love you. You know, and that's the one unconditional love that you know that you have, no matter what. Because who knows you better than you do, supposedly? But when you know yourself, you know every dark secret of yours, and you know every fear, every strength, or you know, vulnerability. And when you can accept every aspect of yourself like that, and accept that it's who you are, and you know, you can change it if you want to, once you understand it and accept it. But you know, to love yourself, you have to love yourself in your entirety and understand your strengths and weaknesses and your flaws, you know, and in the understanding, maybe that helps you to overcome more. But if you can't love yourself unconditionally, you can never give that to anybody else. And love with condition isn't really love. It's more just transactional, isn't it? But I suppose it depends on how you view it. But connection engenders, you know, love, and connection from an area where it's not about self. It's not a selfish connection where, you know, it's about what you can gain from it. It's just an open connection about reconnecting, you know. It's not even a connection, it's reconnecting for somewhere that you've already been connected but you've just forgotten or lost. And it's a sharing of universal wants and needs, you know, for everyone's betterment. When you have somebody else's best interests at heart, then your actions are more pure and more driven in the right direction. When you're driven for self, then it's easy to sort of think that you're doing something right and just, but to get misled or misled. I don't know if that makes sense to you. I'm only speaking how it feels and how I see it and how it translates to me in ways. Together we stand, and divided we fall.